Nova wanders through the crumbling streets of the citadel, the scars of war etched into every corner. Her city, once bustling with life, is now a graveyard of burned-out buildings, empty hovercraft, and shattered communication networks. Nova's cybernetic enhancements, intended to empower her in battle, now feel alien. A permanent reminder of what she endured and what she lost. Nights bring relentless flashbacks of the battles that claimed her comrades and innocent civilians alike. She isolates herself from everyone, avoiding old friends and allies, substituting company with reckless tasks that put her at risk. She scavenges abandoned districts, taking dangerous missions for minimal pay, hiding her trauma behind a facade of stoicism and survival. Physically exhausted and emotionally numb, Nova struggles to sleep, haunted by recurring nightmares that replay moments of failure and loss. Despite her outward independence, her isolation is a self-imposed prison. She begins to wonder if she will ever feel safe or whole again. The internal question gnaws at her. Can she face her inner demons, or will she remain trapped in this cycle of guilt and avoidance? This emotional and mental tension sets up the overarching conflict that will drive her journey through the story. Kale Draven, a decorated former commander with a reputation for uncompromising discipline, confronts Nova in her isolated district. He insists that she begin retraining both physically and mentally to regain control of her life and capabilities. Nova reacts with immediate hostility. Pride and anger flare, and she refuses his guidance, insisting she doesn't need anyone's help. Kale is persistent, however, challenging her not with threats but with unwavering confidence and a belief in her untapped potential. Nova reluctantly begins participating in training sessions, each one grueling and pushing her to the limits of her endurance. From hand-to-hand combat drills to mastering her cybernetic interface, every failure bruises her physically and emotionally, reinforcing her fears that she is broken. Yet, beneath the resentment, there is a faint spark of curiosity and awareness that perhaps this structured challenge could help her regain some of the control she lost during the war. Internally, Nova battles conflicting emotions: defiance, frustration, and the tentative recognition that she might need guidance to heal. These sessions become a battlefield of the mind as much as the body, establishing the central tension of her story, the struggle to surrender enough to grow without losing herself in the process. Nova is introduced to a diverse group of survivors, each scarred by the war and shaped by loss. Among them are engineers, former soldiers, strategists, and civilians who have learned to survive by cunning or force. At first, Nova keeps her distance, skeptical of their intentions and wary of forming attachments. Interactions are tense and awkward, colored by misunderstandings, clashing personalities, and the remnants of past traumas. Some members are openly humorous, attempting to break tension, while others are stoic, testing Nova's patience and resilience. Slowly, Nova begins to witness the vulnerabilities and strengths of each member, realizing that their shared experiences of loss and survival mirror her own. This recognition softens her resistance, showing her that cooperation is not a weakness. She participates in joint exercises, assists with shared responsibilities, and begins to sense the beginnings of trust, even if she cannot yet name it. Emotional walls start to crack as she experiences fleeting moments of connection, laughter, and understanding. Nova's internal narrative shifts subtly, the world outside her isolation, while unpredictable and dangerous, also holds the possibility of solidarity and mutual support. This section lays the foundation for her eventual emotional growth, leadership, and acceptance of community, framing the collective as both a crucible and a lifeline. Nova begins rigorous physical and tactical training, guided by Kale and supported by the group. At first, progress is slow. Every move, every sequence of commands seems to expose her limitations. She trips, miscalculates, and suffers minor injuries, each one reinforcing the shame and frustration she carries. Her cybernetic enhancements, previously a source of discomfort and alienation, begin to respond under disciplined guidance, and she discovers an initial sense of mastery over the interface. Emotionally, these small victories are fragile but vital. They awaken glimpses of pride, determination, and possibility. Failure remains a constant companion, yet she starts learning that mistakes are part of growth, not a confirmation of inadequacy. Training becomes more than just a physical challenge. It is a confrontation with fear, self-doubt, and lingering guilt. The feedback of allies, their subtle encouragement and accountability helps her internalize a sense of belonging. Nova begins to define herself through competence and persistence rather than solely by trauma. With each session, the emotional weight of isolation eases incrementally, laying the groundwork for personal empowerment and gradual reclamation of identity, while reinforcing the tension between her desire to control her life and the need to rely on others. Nova experiences involuntary flashbacks triggered by minor events, a siren, a collapsing building, or a faint whiff of smoke. Memories of the war resurface with vivid intensity, dragging her back to moments of panic, despair, and guilt. She begins a methodical effort to process her trauma, journaling her experiences and emotions, reflecting on her decisions, and confronting the losses she has carried alone for too long. At first, this introspection is overwhelming, as buried pain manifests physically through tension, headaches, and insomnia. Emotional turbulence dominates. Fear of facing her past competes with the faint hope that acknowledgement might lead to relief. Nova wrestles with self-blame for lives lost and opportunities missed, questioning her worth and the right to move forward. Slowly, she starts identifying patterns in her reactions, recognizing the difference between past mistakes and present choices. This internal confrontation forces her to acknowledge both vulnerability and resilience within herself. She begins to accept that avoiding the past has left her unprepared for leadership and meaningful connection. By actively engaging with memory and emotion, Nova plants the seeds for emotional healing and the courage to confront future challenges. setting a critical milestone in her arc toward empowerment and self-discovery. Over time, Nova begins to trust her team more deeply. The exercises, missions, and shared hardships create a web of reliance and subtle camaraderie. Small, unremarkable moment-sharing rations, exchanging advice during training, or covering each other during drills build trust that feels fragile but real. Nova begins to recognize that vulnerability does not equal weakness. Revealing her fears and limitations earns her respect rather than scorn. The team begins to depend on her strategic insights, her growing control over cybernetic enhancements, and her raw determination. Emotional barriers begin to fall as laughter, teasing, and shared frustrations surface, painting a stark contrast to the dark streets outside their base. Nova's internal landscape shifts subtly. The fear of connection is tempered by curiosity and the tentative warmth of belonging. Bonds with allies deepen through moments of personal disclosure, shared victories, and collective problem-solving. She witnesses that her strength is amplified when aligned with others rather than exerted alone. This section emphasizes the transformative power of connection and trust, showing that emotional recovery and empowerment do not exist in isolation. Nova begins to see that she is part of a larger whole-an emerging leader who can protect and inspire those around her without sacrificing her individuality. As Nova's confidence grows, the city faces new dangers, rogue factions, remnants of the warlords' armies, and corporate enforcers conspire to exploit the fragile post-war balance. Nova and her allies are tasked with reconnaissance, intelligence gathering, and securing strategic districts. Each mission highlights the stakes of survival and the need for cooperation, forcing Nova to confront her fear of loss and failure. She feels the weight of responsibility pressing on her shoulders. Decisions made in the shadows could save or doom dozens of lives. Personal stakes intensify as old rivals resurface and former allies challenge her authority. Emotional tension is high. Fear, determination, guilt, and the possibility of betrayal intermingle, testing Nova's ability to act decisively under pressure. Nova also begins to recognize her emerging leadership qualities, understanding that courage is not the absence of fear, but the will to act despite it. Conflicts among the group further complicate matters, pushing her to negotiate, mediate, and inspire trust in others. The threat is both external and internal. Nova must navigate political intrigue while managing her own scars and emotional fragility. This section sets up the broader narrative of confrontation and heroism, establishing that growth comes with responsibility and risk. Nova begins achieving tangible success through careful strategy, improved combat skills, and enhanced mastery of her cybernetic enhancements. She turns missions that once seemed impossible into victories. Small skirmishes, sabotage operations, and intelligence coups prove that her training is paying off and that the team can rely on her judgment. Every triumph, while minor in the context of a larger threat, provides a crucial psychological boost. Nova's sense of self-worth strengthens as she begins to see herself not as a survivor, defined by trauma, but as an active agent shaping outcomes. Emotional reactions are complex. Pride, exhilaration, and cautious hope intermingle with lingering doubt and fear of overconfidence. The allies celebrate together, reinforcing the importance of collaboration and trust. Moments of shared laughter, relief, and camaraderie punctuate the tension, highlighting the contrast between war's shadows and the light of achievement. Nova also notices the subtle impact of her leadership. Others look to her for guidance, and she learns to balance authority with empathy. These victories mark a turning point, emphasizing the interplay of skill, resilience, and teamwork. Nova realizes that progress is incremental and success is a motivator rather than a guarantee. Laying the groundwork for greater trials ahead, Nova's interactions with Kale shift, evolving from friction to subtle magnetic tension. Their relationship is charged by mutual challenge, shared vulnerability, and a recognition of each other's competence. Emotional intimacy begins to develop amid ongoing missions and shared responsibility, though both struggle to articulate feelings without jeopardizing their professional or personal boundaries. Nova experiences conflicting emotions: attraction, curiosity, and fear of being hurt again, amplified by memories of past betrayals and loss. Moments of tenderness emerge in quiet spaces, a protective gesture during training, a shared joke in tense circumstances, or unspoken acknowledgement of mutual respect. Internal conflict arises as Nova wrestles with vulnerability, choosing whether to allow attachment in a world where danger is constant. The tension fuels growth, motivating her to communicate more openly, challenge assumptions, and trust her instincts. Romantic development is woven into the narrative rather than becoming a distraction, enhancing emotional stakes and underscoring her evolution from isolated survivor to engaged participant in life. Nova begins to embrace the idea that love, like leadership and healing, requires risk and courage, setting the stage for eventual resolution of both her personal and interpersonal arcs. Nova faces a trial that tests the full spectrum of her resilience. A mission designed to probe an abandoned district forces her to confront vivid memories of past mistakes and trauma. The scenario mirrors internal struggles. Claustrophobic passageways evoke feelings of suffocation. The echoes of collapsed buildings recall lost comrades, and malfunctioning cybernetics amplify fear and vulnerability. Nova must navigate this physically and emotionally perilous environment while making life-or-death decisions, balancing caution with courage. Each choice reflects not just tactical skill, but emotional growth. Her ability to act decisively despite fear, guilt, or self-doubt is tested. Internal monologue reveals the push and pull of her past versus present self. Shame clashes with resilience. Hesitation battles with assertiveness. By emerging from this trial, Battered but intact, she gains catharsis' significant milestone in emotional healing. The ordeal demonstrates that confronting inner demons is not a single event, but a process requiring courage, reflection, and the willingness to act despite fear. The team faces an unexpected ambush orchestrated by a rival faction exploiting cracks in the city's defenses. Nova and her allies are caught in a chaotic firefight that tests coordination, strategy, and trust. Explosions rock the streets, alarms echo through alleys, and shadows stretch unnaturally under neon lights. Nova must make split-second decisions: who to save, when to advance, when to retreat. The pressure exposes vulnerabilities both in the city's defenses and within the group itself. Conflicting opinions ignite tension, forcing Nova to step into a leadership role she once resisted. She coordinates rescue efforts, organizes defensive positions, and maintains morale despite fear and confusion. Her growing mastery of enhanced abilities allows her to protect teammates while taking calculated risks. Emotional stakes are high. Fear for allies' safety, guilt over mistakes, and the weight of responsibility press on her relentlessly. The crisis underscores the cost of leadership and the fragility of trust. By navigating this challenge, Nova solidifies her role as a competent leader who balances empathy with authority. The group emerges battered but cohesive, and Nova experiences a profound shift in self-perception. She is no longer a passive survivor, but an active force capable of guiding, protecting, and inspiring those she cares about. In the aftermath of the ambush, the team takes shelter in a hidden enclave, giving Nova the chance to reflect and reconnect. Emotional intimacy deepens as shared trauma and vulnerability bring the allies closer together. Nova and Kale experience a turning point. Candid conversations, mutual acknowledgement of fears, and moments of quiet reassurance create a bond founded on respect and understanding rather than dependency. Nova allows herself to lean on him without guilt or shame, testing the boundaries of trust she had long resisted. The group also strengthens relationally. Alliances within the team become more fluid. Cooperation becomes instinctive, and humor and levity begin to permeate their interactions. Nova recognizes that recovery is not linear and that emotional healing requires patience, forgiveness, and connection. The team celebrates small successes together, but also shares grief, acknowledging losses and missed opportunities. Nova experiences a rare sense of safety and belonging, discovering that leadership and intimacy are not mutually exclusive. Romantic tension evolves into cautious affection, grounded in shared experiences rather than dramatic gestures. Through these developments, Nova grows in confidence, self-worth, and emotional resilience, realizing that trust and connection can be cultivated even in a fractured, high-stakes world. The external antagonist escalates, revealing a plan that threatens the entire city and surrounding territories. Nova and her allies face simultaneous challenges: a direct assault on urban strongholds, sabotage of critical systems, and a race to prevent civilians from being trapped in deadly crossfire. Nova assumes active leadership, coordinating defense strategies, anticipating enemy maneuvers, and delegating responsibilities based on each ally's strengths. Every decision carries immense weight. Failure could mean devastation for the city and irreparable harm to her team. Amid the chaos, Nova confronts personal fears, recklessness, loss of control, and the lingering shadows of past trauma and channels them into precise, effective action. Allies are tested to their limits, revealing hidden strengths and vulnerabilities. Nova's strategic ingenuity, combined with her emotional intelligence, allows her to outmaneuver the enemy and protect civilians while mitigating losses. The climax is both physical and symbolic. Nova's internal resilience mirrors the external confrontation, demonstrating that mastery over self and circumstance are intertwined. By confronting the antagonist head-on, she solidifies her transformation from a withdrawn survivor to a decisive, courageous leader. Emotional stakes are heightened through sacrifice, tension, and moral ambiguity, leaving the reader immersed in both thrilling action and profound character growth. Nova emerges victorious, though the battle leaves scars physical, emotional, and relational. The city begins its slow process of recovery, but Nova's personal transformation is the most profound outcome. She has mastered her abilities, honed her strategic mind, and confronted lingering trauma head-on. Allies celebrate victories, mourning losses, and reinforcing the bonds forged through hardship. Nova's leadership is recognized not just for tactical skill, but for emotional intelligence. She inspires loyalty, instills confidence, and fosters a culture of mutual respect. Her relationship with Kale deepens into a partnership of equals, founded on trust, shared experiences, and emotional vulnerability. Nova experiences a renewed sense of purpose. She is capable of shaping her environment, protecting those she cares about, and forging her own identity separate from fear or past mistakes. Reflection and quiet moments reveal gratitude, pride, and emerging optimism, though Nova acknowledges that healing is ongoing. The external threat may have been neutralized, but the emotional and societal rebuilding is continuous. Triumph is measured not only in victory over enemies, but in resilience, personal growth, and the ability to act with compassion, courage, and clarity. Nova stands as a symbol of empowerment and endurance, fully embracing her capacity for leadership, love, and self-determination. With the city stabilizing, Nova solidifies her place within the community. She embraces her role as a leader, mentor, and guardian while continuing personal growth. Allies and friends carve out routines, and the team's cohesion allows for continued collaboration, exploration, and recovery. Nova reflects on the journey from isolation and trauma to empowerment and connection, recognizing that healing is a dynamic, ongoing process. Relationships, particularly with Kale, flourish through mutual support and shared experiences. Nova balances personal desire, responsibility, and ethical leadership, demonstrating emotional maturity and secureness. New initiatives, training programs, civic projects, and defense strategies are implemented, illustrating the transition from survival to constructive influence. Nova also discovers moments of quiet joy, community celebrations, laughter shared among friends, and personal accomplishments that signify regained confidence and agency. Hints of future challenges appear, suggesting growth is never static, but Nova now faces them from a place of strength rather than fear. The narrative closes with a sense of hope, renewal, and readiness for the next chapter of life. Nova's arc exemplifies the transformative power of resilience, connection, and self-discovery, leaving the world richer for her presence and leaving the audience with the promise that even after darkness, light and possibility